On a sprawling landscape of golden fields and rolling hills, there lived a rancher named Jake. With broad shoulders and sun-kissed skin, he was a man of the land, spending his days under an endless sky filled with cotton candy clouds. His ranch was not just a job. It was his home, a sanctuary where he felt connected to nature in every way. From the moment the sun peeked over the horizon to the tranquil twilight hours, Jake lived in harmony with the world around him. Every morning, as dawn broke, he would rise with the roosters. After a hearty breakfast of eggs and biscuits, often made from fresh ingredients he grew himself, he would step outside, greeted by the familiar sounds of nature. Cows mooed softly in the distance, chickens clucked around his feet, and horses whinnied as they awaited their morning feed. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to subscribe. This rhythmic routine grounded Jake, and each animal held a special place in his heart. Jake loved every creature on his ranch. He believed that animals were more than just livestock. They were companions and friends. He took the time to learn their quirks. How Daisy, his trusty cow, loved to be scratched behind her ears. How the goats would playfully headbutt each other during feeding time. And how his horses could always sense when he was feeling down. With a genuine affection for animals, Jake treated them with kindness and respect. The vast expanse of his land extended beyond just fields of grass. It included a small pond glimmering under the sun and patches of wildflowers that danced in the breeze. Occasionally, he would wander through these flower-filled areas to clear his mind or seek inspiration while working on repairs around the ranch. Nature provided him solace in ways words often could not. Jake also had dreams of expanding his ranch one day, maybe adding a few sheep or starting an organic garden to sell at local markets. He spent many afternoons discussing these dreams with his good friend Sam, who often helped him with chores or joined him for fishing trips at the pond. Their laughter echoed across the fields whenever they shared stories about their lives or joked about misadventures with animals. Despite enjoying these moments of camaraderie and fun, there were times when Jake felt alone in his responsibilities. Managing a ranch was hard work. Long hours spent tending to crops and caring for animals left little time for anything else. Yet he embraced these challenges because they brought satisfaction like nothing else. Watching everything thrive under his care filled him with pride. One particular day started like any other. Sunny skies promised another perfect day ahead as Jake stepped outside early in the morning. Breakfast remnants lingered on his plate while he ventured into one of his pastures to check on a couple of horses that had just returned from grazing nearby hills. As he walked further along, however, something unusual caught his eye near an old oak tree at the edge of his property. As Jake approached cautiously, he noticed a thin mare lying beneath its branches. Her ribs protruded sharply against her tawny coat. The signs of neglect were all too evident. A wave of concern washed over him as he hurried closer to assess her condition. This wasn't just another horse, but an animal that needed help desperately. His heart sank when he realized how emaciated she was. Her deep-set eyes looked back at him, full of fear, but also something else. Hope? Perhaps she sensed he would come to her aid. The rancher knelt down slowly so as not to frighten her further. "Hey there," Jake spoke gently, keeping his voice calm and soothing within this tense moment between them. "You're safe now." With care and tenderness in those first moments together, aware that creating trust would be crucial, he inspected her more closely for injuries while offering soft whispers sprinkled throughout their interaction. But as they settled into this fragile connection amid uncertainty about what lay ahead for both horse and man alike, a sense lingered between them. Why was she here? What had she been guarding so fiercely beneath that oak tree? The air felt charged with possibilities. It sent shivers down Jake's spine. In that moment, under warm sunlight, filtering through swaying leaves overhead, a bond began forming against all odds. A thread weaving through fear toward something deeper yet unrecognized, all leading toward tomorrow's hope amidst lingering uncertainty surrounding what new adventures awaited them both. As Jake knelt beside the thin mare, his heart began to race. Her ribs were visible under her tawny coat, and her large, dark eyes looked at him with a mix of fear and hope. He felt a wave of sadness wash over him. How could anyone let such a gentle creature fall into such a state? Jake's mind raced with questions. How long had she been here? Had she been abandoned? Or was she lost, struggling to find food in a world that seemed unkind? He reached out a hand slowly, not wanting to startle her further. "It's okay, girl," he whispered softly, trying to comfort her. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke, filled with both concern and his innate desire to help. With each reassuring word, he hoped to bridge the gap between them. He could sense her anxiety as she shifted slightly beneath the tree, her body tense as she responded to his presence. Jake took a deep breath and focused on her condition. She was clearly malnourished, and he could see that her hooves were cracked and uneven. "You must be so hungry," he said softly, glancing around the area for anything that could sustain her. It was hard to believe that this beautiful creature had been left in such a sorry state. It felt like a personal betrayal to him, a rancher who dedicated his life to caring for animals and protecting them from harm. His thoughts drifted to all the times he had cared for sick or injured animals on his ranch. Each experience had taught him patience and the importance of compassion. Now, he felt that same determination rising within him as he looked at this mare. He knew he couldn't just walk away. He had to do something. After assessing her condition, Jake stood up and walked back toward his barn, deciding that food and water were his first priorities. As he moved away, he glanced back at the mare. She remained where he had left her, her gaze following him intently. It struck him how vulnerable she appeared, yet there was also a strength in her spirit. He sensed that she was guarding something beyond herself. What it was still remained a mystery. Once in the barn, Jake quickly gathered some hay and a bucket filled with fresh water. The barn smelled of wood and earth, filled with tools and memories of hard work. But today, it felt more like a refuge. It was where he could bring the mare back to health. He hoped that his efforts would help her begin to trust him. When he returned to the oak tree, he found the mare still waiting for him, her eyes brightening as he approached with the food. Setting down the hay and water before her, he took a step back to give her space. He watched as she hesitated for a moment before leaning down tentatively to sniff at the hay. It brought a smile to Jake's face, the first hint of hope in an otherwise heavy situation. "Eat up, girl," he encouraged softly, feeling a mixture of relief and longing wash over him. Watching her nibble at the hay reminded him of how rewarding it was to help an animal in need. It was why he had chosen this life. To be a caretaker, to nurture those who couldn't fend for themselves. As she munched away, Jake sat down on the grass nearby, giving her the room to feel comfortable without pressure. He wanted to build trust slowly. He understood that it wouldn't happen overnight. Though she was eating now, it would take time for her to realize she was safe. While waiting quietly, Jake's mind wandered again to the mystery surrounding this mare's presence on his ranch. What had brought her here? Was she alone? The unanswered questions nagged at him like a persistent itch. he felt compelled to find out more. Suddenly, a movement caught his eye near the base of the oak tree. For just a moment, the mare's ears perked up sharply as if she sensed something nearby. Jake felt a chill run through him as anticipation gripped him. What could she possibly be guarding? Maybe there was more to this situation than met the eye. With newfound determination, Jake decided that tomorrow would be another day of discovery. Not just for himself, but also for the fragile mare who had unexpectedly come into his life. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he was ready to face them alongside her, knowing deep inside that together they would uncover the truth behind their shared journey. As Jake sat on the grass near the oak tree, his gaze stayed fixed on the mare as she nibbled cautiously at the hay he had brought. He could see her ribs more clearly now. They were stark against her sunken sides, a painful reminder of neglect. Her tawny coat, once likely glossy and vibrant, was matted and dull, betraying signs of poor nutrition and lack of care. The fragile nature of her body seemed to reflect the harsh realities she had endured for far too long. Jake's heart ached as he noticed the condition of her hooves. They were cracked and uneven, revealing that she must have walked long distances in search of food or shelter. He could only imagine how painful it must be for her to walk, let alone gallop freely like a horse should. It was clear that this mare's spirit had been battered, but Jake sensed a flicker of resilience within her. The way she tilted her head slightly when he spoke, or how she occasionally lifted her ears at small sounds around them. Keeping his movements slow and gentle, Jake decided to approach her with care. He understood how delicate trust could be, especially for an animal that had been through so much. The last thing he wanted was to startle her again. "You're going to be okay," he murmured softly as he inched closer. He reached out a hand slowly, allowing her to see his intention was not to harm, but to help. When his hand finally brushed against her neck, the mare tensed at first, but soon relaxed into his touch. Jake felt a swell of emotion. It was a small victory for both of them. This simple act of contact felt monumental. They were beginning to understand each other in their own silent way. He could feel the warmth of her body under the layers of neglect, a warmth that reminded him of the countless animals he had cared for in his life. Overcoming any hesitance, Jake gently scratched behind her ears where many horses enjoyed being petted the most. It was something that made him smile. How a gentle touch could mean so much in moments like these. He wanted her to feel safe with him, so he spent time just being there, allowing her to acclimate to his presence. As he brushed his fingers through her mane, he noticed several patches where the hair was gone, revealing irritated skin beneath. "You must have had a rough time," he said, feeling both sorrow and determination welling up inside him. He made a mental note to inspect those spots more carefully later as he committed himself to nurse this mare back to health. Jake thought about how much work lay ahead of him, and how crucial it would be for him to find a veterinarian who could offer professional help if needed. He couldn't do it all alone. He realized that asking for support was just as important as offering it. For now, though, he needed to establish a calm environment where trust could blossom. With each passing minute, Jake became increasingly aware that the mare's healing journey would not just be physical. It would require emotional nurturing as well. He hoped that as she regained strength, she would also overcome whatever fears haunted her from the past. Finishing their first session together, Jake knew it was essential to provide consistent care and create positive experiences. He carefully prepared to leave again for the barn, making sure she had enough hay and water before stepping back. Turning around, he looked back at her one more time and saw those dark eyes watching him intently, seemingly searching for reassurance. "If you stay with me," he promised softly, "we'll get through this together." With determination in his heart and purpose in his steps, Jake returned to the barn to gather more supplies, certain herbs for treatment, and perhaps a few extra comforts for the mare's rest area. As he worked through each detail in his mind, thoughts swirled about what lay ahead. Healing wounds on both their hearts and forging an unexpected bond that neither had anticipated. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and revelations. A chance to delve deeper into the mystery surrounding why this mare had come into his life, and what they would discover together on their journey toward recovery and hope. In that moment of quiet connection shared beneath the oak tree, Jake understood that they were no longer strangers. They were companions bound together by resilience and mutual healing in a world that needed kindness more than ever. As Jake continued to care for the mare, he began to notice behaviors that sparked his curiosity. One afternoon, while he sat nearby, feeding her a fresh hay bundle, he observed her posture change suddenly. The mare lifted her head sharply, ears perked, and her dark eyes scanned the surrounding area with an intensity that hinted at something beyond mere alertness. It was as if she was on guard, not just for herself, but for something else. Jake leaned back slightly, intrigued. He couldn't help but wonder what could be causing this protective behavior. Was it just the remnants of a past filled with hardship, or was there something hidden nearby? He watched quietly as she snorted softly, nostrils flaring as she took in the scents of the wind. Each time a twig snapped or a squirrel scurried by, the mare's gaze locked onto the sound, ready to react. After days of routine, the mare had begun to trust him enough to graze closer when he was present. However, despite her apparent comfort, she always maintained a careful distance from the oak tree. That heavy trunk seemed to hold her captive, not just physically while she sheltered beneath its branches, but also mentally as Jake wondered what secret lay buried in its shadows. One day, feeling bolder, Jake decided to investigate further. With her engrossed in her meal, he moved toward the base of the oak tree, hoping to find answers. As he stepped closer, the mare shifted in his direction, lifting her head higher as if unwilling to let him out of her sight. He paused and glanced back at her, noticing a flicker of concern reflected in her eyes. "Hey, it's okay," he reassured her gently. "I'm just looking around." He expressed his intention as if she could understand every word he said. She watched him intently, her body tense yet motionless, embodying a watchful spirit. Reaching the trunk of the oak tree, Jake crouched down and scanned the ground beneath the branches. The shadows were thick there, making it difficult to see everything. Just then, he noticed something nestled among the roots, an old piece of fabric half buried in the dirt. His heart quickened with anticipation. Could this be connected to her? Carefully, he brushed aside the dirt with his fingers, revealing more of the ragged cloth. As he pulled it free from the earth, he realized it looked like an old saddle blanket, worn and weathered, but still intact. His mind raced with questions. Had this belonged to someone who had once ridden this mare? Was there a deeper story tied to this blanket that explained why the mare continued to stay close to this spot? When Jake turned to show his find to the mare, he was taken aback by her reaction. She took a forward step toward him, body tense and alert. In that moment, it became evident that she wasn't just reacting out of curiosity. Rather, she was conveying a sense of responsibility. Perhaps this blanket symbolized another life she had known, one she felt compelled to protect or defend. Jake knelt back down and spread out the blanket gently on the ground between them. "Look," he said softly, addressing her as if she could comprehend his intentions. "This was yours, wasn't it?" He watched as she approached slowly, nosing against the torn edges of the fabric. In that instant, Jake felt an unspoken understanding pass between them, a silent acknowledgement of their shared connection. It stirred something deep within him. He realized that the mare was not merely guarding territory or a possession. She was safeguarding memories that held significance for her. The blanket represented not only a tether to a past life, but also embodied hope, a connection that had somehow anchored her spirit through adversity. Jake understood that while healing wouldn't be immediate for either of them, this revelation offered a glimpse into their growing bond. He stood back up and took a breath. Knowing that this search for answers was only beginning, fueled his determination to uncover more about her past, a mission he would tackle wholeheartedly alongside his new companion. Feeling inspired by their moment together beneath the oak tree, Jake began crafting a plan in his mind to create a safe space near it where she could feel secure and connected to her history. As day turned to dusk and soft shadows stretched across the field, Jake resolved once again to face whatever lay ahead. Each moment spent understanding this, Mare deepened his commitment, not only for her recovery, but also to unlock the mysteries surrounding them both. Their journey together was interwoven with past struggles and new challenges yet to be faced. A promise of connection that neither of them would abandon as they ventured into tomorrow's unknowns. The following morning, Jake awoke with a sense of purpose buzzing in his chest. He couldn't shake the thought of the mare's protective nature or the old saddle blanket that connected her to a past he was eager to uncover. After ensuring she had enough food and water, he decided it was time to follow her instincts a bit further. As he approached the oak tree once again, Jake remembered how she had kept glancing toward the brush nearby. Perhaps there was something more significant hidden in that direction, something she felt compelled to protect. With determination guiding his steps, he ventured toward the thicket, curiosity igniting his heart. Pushing through the dense underbrush, Jake noticed how the sunlight filtered through the leaves overhead, casting dappled patterns on the ground. The air was thick with the sweet scent of wildflowers and grass, but there was also an underlying tension that made him feel as if he were stepping into something sacred. Every rustle and snap of twigs heightened his anticipation. After navigating a winding path through the foliage, Jake suddenly found himself in a small clearing. To his astonishment, right in the center of this secluded area was a sight that made his heart skip. A tiny foal nestled among some tall grasses and wildflowers. The little creature appeared to be no more than a few days old, its soft coat glistening in the sunlight like spun gold. Jake crouched down slowly, careful not to startle it. The foal's large eyes blinked back at him with innocent wonder as it shifted slightly on unsteady legs, trying to find its footing. Oh my goodness. Jake breathed softly, realizing that this must be what the mare had been guarding all along. She hadn't just been protecting herself. She had been safeguarding her precious baby. A rush of emotion filled Jake as he observed this fragile new life. He felt an overwhelming mix of joy and tenderness at witnessing such a beautiful moment. A mother and her foal together in this hidden sanctuary. Suddenly, everything started to make sense. Her behaviors weren't just instinctual, but driven by love and fierce protection for her young one. Feeling drawn closer, but aware of their need for space, he remained crouched and spoke gently. "Hey there, little one." His voice barely disturbed the serene atmosphere surrounding them. As if sensing his calm demeanor, the foal took a few tentative steps toward him, before stopping again to glance back at its mother. The mare soon emerged from behind him, having followed closely as if ensuring her baby remained safe. while also curious about this new presence in their world. She stood protectively between Jake and her foal, body tense yet eyes softening as they met Jake's gaze. "Your secret is safe with me," Jake assured them both softly, reaching out slowly so as not to frighten either of them. His heart swelled with admiration for both mother and child. The bond they shared was palpable. It radiated warmth even amidst uncertainty. He noticed how carefully the mare kept watch over her foal, while still allowing it some freedom to explore its new surroundings. A beautiful display of nurturing instinct at work. It struck him that they were both learning from one another. She was teaching her foal about trust, while also starting to trust him in return. Jake spent several minutes observing them together, watching as the foal began to nibble on tender shoots of grass under its mother's watchful eye. He felt honored to witness such an intimate exchange between them. It reinforced his desire to help them thrive together. After some time passed, knowing they needed peace and quiet for bonding moments like these, Jake reluctantly decided it would be best for him to leave them alone for now. He rose cautiously from his crouched position and stepped back slowly before turning away from their hidden sanctuary. As he made his way back through the brush toward home, excitement bubbled within him. The discovery of this foal altered everything about his mission with the mare. Instead of just focusing on helping one animal heal from neglect, now became about nurturing two lives intertwined by love against adversity. Jake knew that today marked a turning point. Not only would he need to gather supplies for both mother and baby, but also create a safe environment where they could grow together without fear or worry about their pasts catching up with them. As he walked onward through sun-dappled trails leading back homeward, bound by newfound inspiration, an unwavering commitment burned brighter than ever within him. He would ensure that both these remarkable creatures would find hope within their new lives on his ranch. A place where love flourished alongside healing under wide-open skies full of possibility ahead. As Jake returned to the clearing where he had discovered the foal, a wave of emotion washed over him. The sight of the little creature nestled in the grasses ignited a profound sense of joy within him. The foal was still unsteady on its legs, wobbling slightly as it tried to find its balance. Its delicate frame was covered in a soft, golden coat, and its wide eyes sparkled with curiosity. However, despite its beauty and innocence, Jake could easily see that the foal also needed care. It was thin, like its mother, and its small body bore signs of having gone without sufficient nourishment. The mare stood just a few steps away, her gaze fixed protectively on her offspring. Jake watched the way she moved, her body tense yet graceful, as she kept a watchful eye on the foal. It was clear that her love for her baby was boundless. She nuzzled the foal gently, encouraging it to gear up for the first steps into the world beyond their hidden sanctuary. This display of maternal affection stirred something deep inside Jake. A mix of admiration and responsibility filled his heart. "He's beautiful," Jake murmured, crouching down once again to get a closer look at the foal. He felt his heart swell at the bond between them. Watching the mare encourage her baby with soft nudges and gentle whinnies felt like witnessing the most precious moment of life. It reminded him of how nurturing animals could be. They were often more caring than many people realized. As Jake observed closely, he noticed that the mare seemed to share an unspoken understanding with her foal. It was as if she was teaching it not only how to stand, but also about trust and safety. Each time the foal stumbled, the mother stepped in, offering reassurance with a soft nicker and a nudge to guide it back upright. Their connection appeared effortless, fueled by instinct and love. Something so pure that it made Jake feel honored to be part of their world, even if just for a moment. But alongside his joy came a wave of worry. Jake understood that caring for both the mare and her foal would require significant effort and resourcefulness. They were both weak and malnourished, needing more than just shelter. They required proper nutrition and medical attention to ensure they healed fully. The thought weighed heavily on his mind, but he also felt a deep commitment blooming within him. "I'll take care of you both," he pledged softly, his voice barely above a whisper as he spoke to them. The promise hung in the warm air around them like a vow, a dedication he intended to uphold with every ounce of strength he could muster. After taking a moment to absorb the scene before him, Jake knew it was time to act. He hadn't fully prepared for a foal's needs. He needed supplies for feeding them both properly. The mare had shown glimmers of trust already, and now it was vital to continue building on that bond while addressing their immediate needs. A plan, he thought to himself as he stood up slowly. I need to create a safe space for them. Something more than just this clearing. He envisioned a sheltered area near his barn where they could both feel secure and receive regular care. He would need hay suitable for the mare and special nutrients for the foal to help it grow strong quickly. Before heading back home, Jake took one last glance at the pair. The mare was now grazing gently while keeping her head low enough to comfort her baby's inquisitive nature. It filled him with warmth seeing that they would soon thrive together under his care. Jake made his way back through the thicket, each step echoing with determination. Renewed by purpose, he crafted a mental checklist: gather supplies for proper feeding, set up shaded shelter, and bring the vet out for assessments once they settled into their new space. His heart raced at the thought of nurturing not only one, but two precious lives on his ranch. The sun began its descent in the sky, casting long shadows across the land as he finally reached home. He immediately set about gathering what he needed: hay bales, special grains for the foal, and soft blankets for warmth once they arrived at their new spot. That evening, while preparing everything, Jake found himself filled with anticipation. He felt an immense responsibility resting upon his shoulders, but welcomed that weight with open arms. The bond he had begun forming with these two horses was priceless. Their journey would be one of healing, growth, and love. A journey he was honored to embark upon together with them. With determination shining brightly in his heart and his spirit aligned with his newfound family, Jake prepared to welcome them into their new life. One filled with hope under sprawling skies and gradually deepening connections tethered by affection and care. As Jake stood in the barn, surrounded by hay bales and tools of his trade, he felt a whirlwind of thoughts swirling in his mind about how best to help the mare and her foal. He knew that both had suffered greatly, and now it was his responsibility to provide them with the care they desperately needed. The bond he had formed with them so far spurred him on to act quickly, yet thoughtfully. Jake took a deep breath, trying to organize his plans. First and foremost, he needed to address their immediate nutritional needs. The thought of the foal's fragile state tugged at his heartstrings. It was essential that he secure proper food for both of them. I need to get some high-quality hay and grains, he muttered to himself. He recalled seeing bags of special foal feed at the local farm supply store, nutritionally rich and formulated for growing bodies. It struck him how vital these nutrients would be for the foal's early development. But what would he do about the mare? She had endured hardship herself and would require more than just ordinary feed. She needed additional supplements to regain strength and health. Jake remembered a friend who had experience with equine nutrition. I'll call Tom, he decided resolutely. He'll know exactly what I should get. Plans for shelter flooded his mind next as he surveyed the barn's layout. Although it housed various equipment and supplies, Jake envisioned a specific area transformed into a cozy and safe space for the mare and her foal. He recalled how vulnerable they seemed, especially in those first moments of discovery. They deserved more than just a corner in the barn. They needed a haven where they could feel secure. Perhaps I can section off part of the barn, he thought, imagining how comforting it would be for them to have their own space away from noise and activity. He could set up fresh bedding made from straw and provide a large trough for clean water nearby. It would be important for them to have easy access to essentials without feeling trapped or exposed. Jake made his way through the barn while formulating a checklist in his mind. First, gather food, then create a comfortable shelter. Finally, ensure that regular checkups were scheduled with a vet to assess their health and progress. He knew it was vital not only to provide physical sustenance, but also emotional support while they adjusted to their new environment. A process that demanded patience. As he stepped outside, Jake felt a fresh breeze wash over him, carrying whispers of possibility along with it. The sun hung high in the sky, casting warm rays down upon him as he retraced his steps back toward the oak tree clearing where the mare and foal were resting. With each stride, excitement bubbled within him. He envisioned all they could achieve together as a family. Once at the clearing, he knelt down close to them again, observing how the mare watched protectively over her foal while it playfully tumbled onto its side during another attempt to stand upright. The sight brought a smile to Jake's face, an image so pure that it filled him with warmth. "I won't let you down," he promised softly, looking at both mother and child. The connection he felt toward them grew deeper by the second. They represented not only survival, but also hope, an opportunity for healing that extended beyond physical attributes. They were individuals together, beginning anew amid uncertainty. Jake's thoughts drifted back to how critical it was that these equine companions felt safe during this transition. He knew that change could be overwhelming, especially after what they had endured. He decided then that, in addition to creating their sheltered space in the barn, he would spend time every day interacting with them, gaining their trust while letting them get used to him as part of their new routine. With determination guiding every step, Jake began organizing everything necessary for their well-being. He understood that nurturing these two lives would not only require resources, but also unwavering dedication and love, qualities that ran deep in him as a rancher. As evening approached and shadows lengthened across the land, Jake felt certain about one thing. This journey was not just about caring for animals. It was about creating a family, a place where healing flourished alongside tenderness and resilience under wide-open skies full of promise. Resolute in his commitment to help both the mare and her foal thrive in this new life, Jake prepared himself mentally and emotionally for what lay ahead, ready to embrace challenges with open arms, knowing that together they would flourish through adversity into something beautiful and lasting. Over the following days, Jake dedicated himself to building a bond of trust with the mare and her foal. He understood that their recovery depended not only on food and shelter, but also on the relationship they formed with him. Each morning, he arrived at the clearing with a mix of excitement and determination in his heart, eager to see them and to become a part of their lives. At first, the mare remained cautious. Her watchful eyes never lost sight of him, observing every movement as he approached with fresh hay and specially formulated grains. Jake respected her boundaries, taking care to move slowly and speak softly, allowing her to acclimate to his presence without feeling threatened. "I'm here to help," he reassured her each time, hoping she could feel the sincerity behind his words. One afternoon, after setting down their meals, Jake sat on the ground a few feet away from the mare and foal. He decided to give them space while still remaining close enough for them to see him. He watched as the foal curiously nudged its mother, trying to coax her into eating, and felt a warmth spread through him at the sight of their bond. This moment caused him to reflect on how important it was for them to trust one another, a journey that would take time and patience. As days passed, he began incorporating small gestures into their routine that helped ease the mare's tension. Each time he visited, he brought a small treat, a carrot or apple, as an incentive for her to approach him. At first, she would hesitate, sniffing cautiously before retreating. But gradually, with consistent effort, he noticed her tail swaying slightly when she saw him, indicating her growing comfort. Encouraged by these subtle changes, Jake decided to strengthen their connection further. He began talking to the mare while grooming her. He would comb through her rough coat as gently as possible, careful not to tug at any mats or knots. With each stroke of the brush, Jake felt like he was not just caring for her physical needs, but also soothing her spirit. "You're going to be okay," he would whisper as he worked, trying to instill reassurance in both of them. It was during one of these grooming sessions that the shift he had been hoping for finally occurred. The mare took a step closer, allowing Jake to brush along her neck and across her back without flinching. Her body language softened. She let out a deep sigh, as if releasing the stress she had carried for so long. In that moment, Jake felt a surge of joy and a sense of accomplishment wash over him. The first real breakthrough in their journey together. Meanwhile, he paid close attention to the foal's development as well. Each day brought new milestones. Gradually, the little one grew stronger and more confident on its legs. Watching it stumble, then hop toward its mother, filled Jake with pride. He knew it was essential that the foal learn to interact with him too, so he would toss treats in its direction during feeding time. Small but significant steps toward building its trust. "That's it," he cheered whenever the foal cautiously approached him for a taste of apple slice or carrot piece. Over time, its initial wariness began to fade. Soon, it would trot forward instead of hesitating or retreating. With its big, innocent eyes eagerly fixed on him, as if accepting his offerings, Jake couldn't help but smile wide at how far they had come together as a family. As days turned into weeks, Jake continued nurturing this newfound relationship. He spent hours simply sitting in their vicinity, reading aloud or humming softly, allowing them to adapt to his presence without pressure. Their routines intertwined in ways that created comfort and familiarity. Trust blossomed with each shared moment. The mare grew more relaxed each day. She even began volunteering nudges toward Jake's shoulder, as if signaling acceptance of his role within this little family unit. Her foal would follow suit, sidling up beside its protective mother while curiously observing Jake from the safety of her side. Jake knew the road ahead was still long. The tasks of nutrition and veterinary care loomed large. But in nurturing this bond of trust, he felt a profound sense of hope. He was no longer just an outsider trying to intervene in their lives. He had become someone who genuinely cared for their well-being, earning their trust bit by bit. With every baby step they took together toward recovery, Jake became increasingly determined to ensure their future was brighter than their pasts had been. A future filled with love, healing, and endless possibilities under sun-drenched skies, where both horse and human could thrive together in newfound harmony. As Jake continued his efforts to nurture the mare and her foal, he soon realized that taking on such a responsibility alone could be overwhelming. While he was determined to ensure their well-being, the task would require support from others, especially as the mare's strength gradually improved, and they ventured into a more active phase of recovery. One sunny afternoon, as Jake worked in the barn preparing their new space, he decided it was time to reach out to his neighbors. He knew that often it took a community coming together to make real change happen. I could use some help, he thought to himself, recalling how supportive the local ranching community had been during similar situations in the past. With a plan forming in his mind, Jake made a few phone calls. First on his list was Sarah, a kind-hearted neighbor who ran her own small farm nearby. She had a way with horses and often provided volunteer care at local shelters. When he explained the situation about the mare and foal, she immediately offered her help and promised to bring over supplies, fresh hay and grain that would aid in their recovery. As they hung up, Jake felt reassurance wash over him. Having someone like Sarah by his side would make all the difference. The next day, Sarah arrived early with not only food, but also an armful of encouragement. "I can't wait to meet them," she exclaimed as she hopped out of her truck, excitement brightening her eyes. Together, they headed toward the barn, where Jake introduced her to the mare and her foal. "I've brought some treats that should help them regain their energy," Sarah said while unpacking bags of hay and grains. The mare watched cautiously, but seemed more at ease now with another familiar face around, someone who came bearing gifts of food. While they unloaded supplies, Sarah shared stories about horses she had rescued in the past. "They all have unique personalities," she explained cheerfully. "You'll see how fast they bond with you when they know you care." Her positive outlook invigorated Jake further. It reminded him of why he had taken on this venture in the first place, to give these animals another chance at life. That weekend also brought Ethan, a fellow rancher known for his expertise in veterinary care. Jake had reached out to him earlier to ask for advice on proper nutrition and veterinary needs for the mare and foal. When Ethan arrived, armed with knowledge about equine health along with suggestions for feeding schedules, Jake's confidence soared even higher. "Getting them back on track will take some planning," Ethan said as he inspected both horses closely while providing insights about their diets and requirements moving forward. "It's great you've earned their trust already. This will make things easier when we need to get them checked out," he added encouragingly. In discussions about ongoing treatment plans and nutrition guidelines, both Jake and Sarah listened attentively with determination etched across their faces. This collective effort cultivated a sense of solidarity. They all shared a deep commitment toward helping the mare and her foal thrive together as a family unit. As weeks passed, more neighbors began joining in. Mary Ann from down the road brought fresh vegetables from her garden, while Charlie offered extra manpower during feedings or grooming sessions after work hours, all rallying around Jake's cause without hesitation. With each visit from friends or neighbors came laughter and camaraderie. The barn transformed into a lively hub filled with kindness echoing through its wooden walls. Fragile relationships molded between people and between humans and horses grew stronger alongside their mission, nurturing hope through compassion for those who needed it most. During one particular gathering, marked by joyful chatter amongst friends sharing stories patched together through laughter over horse treats scattered here and there, the foal took its first brave steps toward confidence, now that it was surrounded by so much love and encouragement. Cheers erupted as everyone witnessed this milestone moment where determination mingled seamlessly with community spirit. In moments like this, standing shoulder to shoulder with friends old and new while watching progress unfold before their eyes brought warmth into Jake's heart, it was clear that caring for the mare and foal expanded far beyond individual efforts alone. It flourished into shared dreams, intertwined within those who dared to believe in brighter tomorrows. With every passing day, every ounce of collective action taken by neighbors stepping forth in support, Jake knew one thing for sure. They weren't just rebuilding lives within those stable walls. Together, they were forging connections built on trust among creatures meant for companionship, proving that even under free-spirited skies, boundless hopes can grow even more abundant through unity found in community effort. As the weeks turned into months, Jake faced a series of challenges that tested his resolve and adaptability as he cared for the mare and her foal. The initial joy of their recovery sometimes shadowed by unforeseen obstacles, bad weather, fluctuating resources, and the inevitable struggles of rural life. One early morning, thick clouds rolled in quickly, and a fierce storm swept across the ranch. The wind howled through the trees, rattling the barn doors and sending debris flying. Panic surged within Jake. He rushed to check on the mare and foal, fearing that they would be frightened by the storm's ferocity. Upon reaching the barn, he found the mare standing protectively over her foal, who was trembling, but safe. "Hang in there, girl," Jake whispered to them both as he closed the barn door tightly against the raging wind and pouring rain. He had taken extra precautions before the storm hit, securing hay bales and ensuring their space was sheltered from potential flooding. But even with his preparations, nothing could fully shield them from nature's fury. While they waited out the storm huddled together inside, Jake made it a point to reassure them with soft words and gentle touches. He wanted to create a sense of calm despite the chaos outside. As hours passed and rain pelted against the barn roof, he shared stories about sunny days on the ranch and all they had accomplished together so far. It became a moment of bonding amid uncertainty, a reminder to keep hope alive even when challenges seemed overwhelming. Once the storm cleared, Jake took stock of what remained intact on his property. Surprisingly, they had avoided any significant damage. However, he realized that many local roads were washed out and access to supplies would be limited for some time. Without those resources readily available, Jake needed to think creatively about how to provide for his newfound family. He decided to reach out once more to his friends in the community. "I'll need more hay before we run low," he thought anxiously as he began making calls. Luckily, Mare from down the road was able to help. She had her own supply, but offered Jake several bales until he could replenish his stock. In addition to food resources running low, Jake also faced another challenge. The foal was steadily growing each day and required more than just basic nutrition. It needed specific nutrients for its development. With mounting pressure on his finances due to changing circumstances over time, he knew that every decision mattered financially as much as spiritually. With this in mind, Jake visited Ethan again, seeking advice. This time not only about feeding schedules, but also about possible, low-cost alternatives for meeting nutritional needs without breaking the bank. They discussed options such as growing grains or forage crops suitable for both horses. With patience comes innovation and possibilities blooming even amidst restrictions. Meanwhile, another setback came when Jake noticed signs that both horses were becoming restless due to limited space in their barn area during cold snaps. Cold weather kept them indoors longer than usual while they waited for warmer temperatures to return. He knew that getting them exercise was essential for their mental well-being as well as physical strength. To find a solution, Jake remembered an open field next to his ranch that had been left unattended for some time. "I can fence part of that off," he thought eagerly after talking it over with Sarah and Ethan one afternoon while brainstorming options together again, surrounding solutions around equine care. With determination ignited within him from these discussions, and with help mobilized by neighbors, Jake organized a workday among friends willing to lend assistance in building safe fencing around the pasture land nearby. That Saturday turned out to be an incredible success, filled with laughter echoing across open fields as fences went up quickly under camaraderie, shared amongst neighbors coming together once more under common cause. The welfare of horses they all cherished deeply within each heart. At sunset that very day, when everything fell into place around new pasture lands, designated specifically for them, it felt like achieving something monumental, fueled by teamwork transforming dreams into reality before their very eyes. Returning home later feeling accomplished amidst fatigue setting in from hours spent working outside. Jake gazed at both horses, grazing freely now on fresh grass within nearly boundless space, compared to confinement they had experienced previously. All these obstacles confronted head-on taught important lessons. Resilience strengthened among themselves while acknowledging support found through community involvement. Reinforced values held dear by everyone involved throughout this journey. Not merely confined solely within one person, but woven into fabric forming connections, extending beyond boundaries, made visible through every act done together toward nurturing love amidst adversity. Bonding horsemen across farms, bringing lives intertwined toward brighter tomorrows. As spring unfolded across Jake's ranch, the transformation in the mare and her foal became increasingly evident. The once starving mare, now named Bella, had regained her strength, her coat shining with a healthy gloss that mirrored the vibrant wildflowers blooming around them. The foal, whom Jake affectionately named Sunny, due to its bright disposition, had grown into a lively little creature full of energy and curiosity. Each day brought new milestones. Sunny was learning to gallop, its little legs kicking up dirt as it raced around the pasture, often stopping to playfully nudge Bella or explore every nook and cranny of their environment. Jake watched with joy as Bella displayed a nurturing side he hadn't fully seen before. Her protective instincts evolved into playful interactions filled with affection. She would nuzzle Sunny gently whenever the foal tumbled or grew too daring. Jake felt a sense of pride swell within him as he observed these moments from a distance, while leaning against the fence. It was heartwarming to witness how far they had come together. He recalled the days when Bella had been timid and frail, only concerned with shielding her baby from perceived threats. Now, they were thriving under the warm sun, embodying resilience and hope. As he tended to his daily chores, feeding other animals and fixing fences, Jake often found himself stealing glances at Bella and Sunny. He felt an undeniable connection to them that transcended mere caretaker duties. They were now part of his family. Their presence brought laughter and warmth into his life that he hadn't realized was missing before their arrival. One afternoon, while Jake sat on a hay bale in the shade near their pasture, he reflected on how this journey had changed him. Caring for Bella and Sunny required more than just physical labor. It demanded patience, love, and understanding. As he watched them graze peacefully together in the golden light of dusk, he pondered how their struggles had mirrored his own challenges over the years. Just then, Sarah arrived with her usual enthusiasm. "Hey there, I brought some extra treats," she called out cheerfully as she approached with a bucket filled with apples and carrots. The joy in her voice echoed like music in Jake's ears. It reminded him of how important community support had been during this journey. "Perfect timing," Jake replied with a smile as he stood up to greet her. He knew that having friends like Sarah made all the difference in not just caring for Bella and Sunny, but also enriching his own life through shared experiences. Together, they fed treats to both horses while laughing at Sunny's antics, playfully prancing about as if showing off for an audience. With each bite of fruit or crunch of vegetable they offered, both mare and foal drew closer. A testament not only to their bond, but also to Jake's efforts alongside those who believed in nurturing these beautiful creatures. As weeks turned into months, Jake saw further improvements. Their health continued to flourish, as did their spirits. He began taking them out for walks beyond the confines of their pasture area. Each excursion allowed them more freedom, while giving Jake time to bond even deeper with both horses. On one particularly sunny day, Jake set out for a longer trail ride leading toward an expansive meadow filled with wild grasses swaying gently in the breeze. With Bella feeling confident enough under saddle, he reveled in moments where mother and foal could explore, together without restraints. A picture-perfect scene painted by nature itself. In those moments, under endless blue skies, surrounded by vibrant scenery alive with sounds. The chirping of birds overhead mixed harmoniously among laughter exchanged between friends. Jake recognized something monumental occurring. Not only were Bella and Sunny thriving, but so was he. They represented new beginnings, entwined within one another. A fresh chapter unfolding before him, brimming with potential yet uncharted paths ahead, filled with promise, waiting patiently on horizon lines, stretching far beyond what he'd ever imagined possible before this journey began. Every challenge faced along this path strengthened bonds forged through shared experiences. Resilience, building hope amid adversity. Not only among creatures meant for companionship, but also amongst those united by compassion, bridging gaps made visible through acts done together over time, creating connections worth celebrating across generations ahead. As Jake stood on his ranch, watching Bella and Sunny frolic in the pasture, he couldn't help but reflect on the remarkable journey they all had taken together. From the moment he discovered the starving mare beneath the oak tree, bound by fear and instinct to protect her foal, Jake's life had undergone a profound transformation. What started as a mission to care for a neglected animal had evolved into something deeper, an exploration of compassion, resilience, and the unbreakable bond between humans and animals. In those early days of uncertainty, Jake was filled with concern for Bella's well-being. He witnessed her struggle against the weight of neglect and fear, her protective instincts developed in response to past traumas. Yet, as he devoted himself to nurturing her through patience and kindness, Jake found that these efforts not only improved Bella's health, but also enriched their connection. Slowly, she transformed from a wary creature, learning to trust, into a loving mother who thrived under his care. The challenges they faced along the way, bad weather, limited resources, and moments of doubt, only served to strengthen Jake's resolve. He realized that overcoming adversity required more than individual effort. It demanded a community rallying around a shared purpose. Each phone call he made to neighbors resulted in an outpouring of support that fostered camaraderie and deepened bonds within their rural community. Working alongside friends like Sarah and Ethan and witnessing Bella and Sunny flourish became a testament to how collective compassion could create change. As spring blossomed across the ranch, Bella's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. Her coat gleamed under the warm sun, reflecting the vibrant life that now filled her days. Sunny, with its boundless energy and playful spirit, brought laughter into Jake's life. A joyful reminder of what they had accomplished together. Watching the pair grow stronger each day filled Jake with pride. He recognized that they were not just recovering physically, but also nurturing emotional ties that connected them as a family. Jake often spent time simply being present with Bella and Sunny. They would graze peacefully together in the fields, or trot along trails lined with wildflowers as he guided them gently towards new adventures. As each hoofprint marked their shared journey forward, he found himself reflecting on how deeply intertwined their lives had become. A tapestry woven from love, care, and mutual respect. This experience illuminated valuable lessons for Jake. Lessons about patience in healing and the importance of nurturing connections with others. The bond he'd formed with these horses enriched his understanding of compassion. It was a powerful force, capable of fostering growth in ways he'd never imagined. He learned that vulnerability could transform into strength through support, which resonated not just in his role as their caretaker, but in his own life as well. Looking back at his initial fears, the overwhelming sense of responsibility when he first discovered Bella and Sunny, Jake felt gratitude for the journey they had shared. The obstacles they had faced became stepping stones, leading to resilience that blossomed amidst uncertainty. The experience reminded him that change is not defined solely by circumstances, but shaped through love and determination. As summer approached, life thrived around them. Jake envisioned future possibilities filled with even more adventures on the horizon. Exploring new lands with Bella and Sunny, or perhaps introducing another horse into their growing family. He dreamed confidently of expanding his ranch while maintaining the core values taught through this incredible journey. Compassion toward those in need, resilience against adversity, and recognizing the profound interconnection between humans and animals. In this chapter of his life, Jake understood that caring for Bella and Sunny was not just an act of kindness. It had forged lasting relationships built on trust and love that would follow him into every corner of existence. From every dawn at the ranch to moments shared under vast, open skies filled with dreams waiting patiently to be realized. Together, they would continue walking toward brighter tomorrows, filled with hope, joy, and endless possibilities that lay ahead, all woven together by threads of compassion, cultivated through shared experiences, nurturing unwavering bonds among them all.